Bounty Hunters versus New Heights Gaming. Quarterfinal number 4, kicking things off with Spike. First picked up here. Frank is out of the way. Mortis still left open. Those three are the Buffy rollers that have shown up the most. Pierce is banned out here, which has been the star player, the MVP across the Ring of Fire series so far. Ellie also left open.
Allu left open, but what is the Poco matchup cooking up? It's left open for the 2-3. It's been a top ban today, even prioritized over some of those brawlers with buffies. There's 6 of them. It's possible to ban all of them, but sometimes things take precedence. I think it's going to be Poco and some kind of, there we go, anti-tank. Lu would be irritating well, I guess. Lu is a great brawler, annoying to play into the Poco, going ahead and securing one of the best anti-tanks in the game to gear up for this final selection, which they can actually just pivot away from if they want to waste the time.
I think picking Lu alongside this Poco, if you're going to pick Lu, almost a must with going alongside the Poco, do that gadget selection, right? Because it's simply going to nullify all of the freezing damage that you can possibly do. Of course, Poco's somebody that's already pretty good on this map overall. I think we're used to seeing Lu play strictly mid, Poco play strictly mid, but it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. This map's a little weird in how it's shaped, that it doesn't always play out left, right, center. Sometimes it's a little double center and then somebody goes left or right.
I'm just super happy to see that Lu finally, I mentioned him like every single time we've seen this map today. Yeah, he's going to be very good into any aggression. Therefore, not really much aggression picked up from the left-hand side, except Mina, of course. They have 2 very passive, very DPS-heavy brawlers. Otis is going to do super well in case New Heights Gaming does want to pick up a tank now alongside that Poco.
Well, and they could just pivot away from this and decide to play the range matchup anyway. Here comes Allie. It has been the talk of the town this entire monthly final so far. It's been a top selection throughout the first couple of regions that we observed as well. Just devours enemy brawlers, especially inside of the bushes, in the water, and I'll say it again, Ring of Fire has plenty of that.
Extra water means that alligators can shine bright. This is going to be an interesting one to say the least. Quarterfinal number 4. A couple teams looking to prove themselves more than just tier 2 guys. After all, a lot of them make monthly finals repeatedly in 2025, have LCQs of years past, just haven't been able to quite make themselves top dogs in this region. An opportunity to redeem themselves, to start things right in 2026.
2 teams that go out in the top 8. One of them is guaranteed to go to top 4, but who will earn that spot? So far, New Heights Gaming have the mid control. They've already taken down 1 brawl on the right side, now penetrating these bushes, baiting out some of the shots from Derp, but the third one reigns true. It's good enough. And Derp, why did you have to run that skin? Now we got to listen to the sound effects the entire game.
It honestly is maybe just as mean as somebody naming their team the entire same name for 3 brawlers. It's right there with me for that, but 20% nonetheless for New Heights Gaming. Up the middle of the map, Windmill Gadget going down, going to be trying to protect themselves. So that's going to be something that this NHG roster has to play around. When Mina exhausts that Gadget, that is the time to go.
Wesley still looking for a super over here. That's going to be a fat splatter and a fat takedown onto Prosy. He's thrown out of the mix, and here comes the stick around from Derp to slow down the re-entry to mid. Prosy, however, wants him to freeze on the spot, so it'll be a quick rotation out from Dorito since he has all the movement in the world, and now the response. Feels like we're playing tennis over here. What's going on? It's one little super being exchanged for the other, and the control goes back and forth. Meanwhile, a stalemate is resolved on the left side, and Loco has the hypercharge.
Loco winning this lane has essentially granted Bounty Hunters a free W in my mind. Unless they can take down Otis, Allie's job is much harder. Finally, they're going to be able to move over there, but a couple kills, now rotating up. Just buying as much space as possible and occupying that grass. Allie either has to jump in when he has a mute button or just find a takedown alongside teammates. It took a lot of resources just to bring him to his knees.
Huge freeze and a bountiful harvest for Winona. Now taken down after a late heal from Wesley doesn't really ring true. New Heights Gaming had to retreat from this point, wait for their opportunity. Wesley would love another heal. Doritos with the windmill, keeps himself safe for just a little bit longer, went for the stun, nothing onto Wesley. He was ready for it. New Heights Gaming climbing up to that 82% that Bounty Hunters have earned so far.
This is going to go the distance, and now it's super available for Perozzi. Going to drop it, cut off the entire middle part of that map. So Loco forced to go the long way. Winona does not mind this whatsoever. Pounces in the water and now emerges in a 3v1 situation. Heals going down for Poco, so Derp has to do a big purple button, and it has to count, and unfortunately, too many brawlers withstanding it. NHG with a nice job. It really looked like the blue side was going to run away with that. Instead, though, they finally took care of that Otis lurking in their grass. They were able to expand their territory. A few kills and a strong presence in mid really got them the job done.
You called it. This was really the central thing that they had to deal with. Get that Otis out of the bushes. Once it killed the Allu, I think they really addressed that as a priority. Allu also returning to the fight with full HP and that brief invulnerability shield, I think aided things as well. You'll see Allu circle over towards that right side once more, attempting to get some early pressure on a Loco. The jukes are looking pretty solid for right now, and look at that. Really elegant lane swap. They move Derp over to the right side and attempt to get Otis over towards the left. It might look like if Doritos is able to move towards the bottom, pinch and connect, it would be an excellent move. He finds himself between a rock and a hard place, but the attention is so divided right now that NHG have really crumbled on the offense. It'll be a return to form as Allu moves backwards, and Bounty Hunters actually find themselves in the losing side.
It was a beautiful start out of Winona. I mean, Allu was hardly tapped there, finally brought down on the other end. This is where things get scary, though. So Gadget being used top left-hand side. Derp does his job, and now they've got the entire map to pinch this enemy team. They've fully retaken the mid in the blink of an eye.
Another move from Allu, this time towards the backside. Derp is saving up his ammunition. You see him being really conservative with his shots. Doritos returning, but the screeching solo is enough to send him back to the respawn. Bounty Hunters will hold on to this point for as long as they can. Derp's got to be just like a couple shots off of his super because he popped the hypercharge, but he's not going to be granted that opportunity. Wesley standing in the dead zone of curveball to avoid all that damage. And here comes Allu, supported by the entire team to reclaim control for New Heights Gaming.
NHG had a full focus on Mina, which was a great call. However, Doritos is now going to respawn. He's got a hypercharged super, can be backed up by Locos as well. Purple button going down. Oh, it's a stun onto Wesley. He just was outside of that zone, I believe, so couldn't tiptoe any pressure. Doritos is going to bring his prey right into the front of his face. A few swift kicks, several takedowns, and now BH are getting closer and closer to this hot zone being completed.
Nearly. Oh my goodness, that was filthy Loco, the fat splatter through the wall. How often do you see that? And staggers out the Allu that NHG really wanted to support here and unable to make the plays. Wasted a tremendous amount of time. Bounty Hunters find themselves in a much more desirable situation. A brief route there from the spike gadget. Doritos is able to claim that kill. Another fat splatter keeps Prosy away. And Wesley also decides to retreat off of that, knows that they have to stick together as a team. Doritos in this aggressive position will get one with a super. Wesley's also looking pretty low, but Bounty Hunters are playing very conservatively. It's a kill for Doritos, and he knows that if he just joins forces with Derp over here, they've got this one in the bag. What a comeback for Bounty Hunters. That was ridiculous. I'm still not over the Otis gadget.
Yeah, that was really filthy. I mean, to be honest with you, just some good mechanics, I think, overall, and especially towards that end game. When we see Mina survive with about 100 HP, that really stopped any potential for a comeback for NHG. They had two brawlers in the mid, Poco and Lu. If Mina now is able to flank and get around that left-hand side grass, they can no longer just have a stronghold in the mid. They have to space out, and they have to focus on her as well. When those two brawlers aren't working together, it's a lot harder for them to get takedowns because they're not naturally aggressive. They're not killers like something like an Allu. So Winona just has to play perfect.
Goodness, and they're also going to be surprised with this new lane layout from New Heights Gaming, which has resulted in a brief victory for New Heights Gaming. Doritos has all the movement in the world. Dude, look at those wiggles. He's trying hard, but it's working out. Prosy hasn't gotten any supercharge off of him, and now Allu has a plan. Move in, massive damage onto Derp, but is muted briefly. The little tick damage from the Otis mute is going to be fine for taking them down, but thankfully Prosy has gotten his super rotated out to afford some time for Allu to return to the fray.
Yeah, and Allu has to find a way to get kills onto somebody like Spike. It's really difficult for Otis because of that mute button. So if there's a super available, Loco's going to be able to get a shutdown. Now just hiding, relying on the invisibility, going to pounce, has to defend the teammate here. Allu just has to be everywhere, has to play defense, has to play offense. It's just really difficult for the other two members of NHG to protect themselves.
Bounty Hunters up to 50%. They're capitalizing on the vulnerabilities of New Heights Gaming. Prosy already taken so much damage, can't really deal with all the stuff being sent his way, especially the spike curveball is troublesome to dodge. He finds himself basically alone, tossed into the air, now served up by Doritos, but from the bottom side, Wesley attempted to move in solo. Didn't work out at all. Allu looking for sort of an escape route at the moment while providing some pressure, but it's just not working. A brief reprieve for New Heights Gaming right now as they have that Lu super down, but it's soon to expire with Derp equipped with a hypercharge and Doritos the same. It's not looking good.
Ice melting away, so BH are going to hit the gas pedal, moving up the middle of the map. Loco, Derp, being patient. Don't want to overdo it. They have plenty of percentage points to work with. No need to force it. The second Mina gets back in on this, though, they do have a super available. They can kick somebody in the air, as you see there, and BH with a clean win. I feel like the other side with NHG, after that game 1, once there were adjustments made by bounty hunters, I just feel like they weren't winning the kill category. I'm curious to see how these stats line up, because Poco and Lu, I don't feel like were enough to support themselves individually. While on the other side with this bounty hunters draft, we have a shutdown with Otis, who plays that hybrid that Pedro and I talked about a little bit earlier. It's somebody that can lane, but also has a mute button in case Allu wants to dive at you. Spike, of course, with control with his super. Mina can literally kick someone in the air. Look, just like you see there. I mean, even somebody in the water like that, she can no longer be a threat.
I think the key thing to acknowledge here, like you point out that Poco and Lu, can they support themselves? Like they play off of each other. It's necessary to get Poco out of there if you want to play Lu. And Lu individually did play well and afforded them many opportunities to take back mid, but just what was the Poco there to support? That's the thing. Wasn't really able to get too much onto Ali, unfortunately. She was so often estranged from the entire roster that she couldn't receive the heal. We saw a narrow mistiming also where Ali could have stayed alive, but Poco was just a little bit late on the execution of the heal. So just little things. I think New Heights Gaming totally could have taken this first set.
New Heights Gaming definitely banned out a couple of those brawlers that are good into a Poco comp, and immediately banned out, for example. But then they were picking Poco as their first pick, and we had the perfect answer from Bounty Hunter on the other side. With that Otis and Spike, they prevented them from picking up a Frank, for example, which, if you want to go with a Poco comp, you usually want a tank who also sticks with your Poco, and brawlers like Ali, like Kaze, like Kenji, they don't want to stay around a brawler that has a normal walking speed. They want to dash across the map and go aggressive, and this just doesn't really work out with a Poco. I think in the future we could see those comps actually with Globert.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Very true, but to your point, when you have somebody like Ali, it's a solo mission. But they drafted as if they were playing a team-oriented composition. Poco and Ali, 2 great brawlers, but I think a way that you often put it, Reddy, 2, 3 great puzzle pieces, not a great puzzle coming together. And I think that's a perfect demonstration of that.
Maybe I say it a little too much too, but
no, I think you're right. I think that's exactly what applies there, though.
Plenty of ways to spin it. You can have a handful of brawlers that just don't work well together, and sometimes it works out, like on something like Bridge Too Far, for example, where you're mostly playing 3 individual lanes. And guess where we're headed?
To Bridge Too Far.
Wow.
You just want to win a game. I do want to mention here, Bounty Hunters actually had a beautiful run through the qualifier. They only lost 1 single set to Eternal before they qualified. On the other side, New Heights Gaming, they did pretty well. They got reverse swept by Olympo, but other than that, also just 3-0s mostly. We now have the draft for Bridge Too Far already in. Once again, Angelo and Eve are mostly banned out or picked up. So first pick here for the side of Bounty Hunters. And on the other side, we have Fix. We haven't really seen him on any heist maps today. I do like the Otis. It's so good to defend. I do like the 8-bit. We talked about it before. Once he gets through, despite his slow movement speed, he's doing so much damage.
I love 8-bit as well. I mean, we really saw it demonstrated a little earlier ago, but in this meta right now, especially with so many sharpshooters on this map, good to win the lane, and then on top of that, can deal damage if you get him alongside there. Now, Miko is somebody that hasn't shown up a ton as of recently, at least in our past weekend, though. We've gotten plenty of Bridge Too Far, a lot of heist. I mean, this quarterfinal rotation is what we're getting for all of our monthly finals. So we're kind of seeing all the different winning strategies that go along, and this isn't one of them yet.
No, not quite. Miko, his one job is to get on that enemy safe and jump on a couple times, die, repeat. Where have I heard that so far? Well, it plays kind of similarly to a Chuck, basically. You're not going for individual kills. It's going to be a hopeless matchup into Kaze, who does just about the same thing, but also is able to kill enemy brawlers. It's not going to be Eve, so it's got to be 8-bit, and you're going to be hurting on that damage, so it's probably going to be in the assassin form. Get those knives. You're still able to, move around decently well. So, how is this going to play out? You have Miko that ideally gets stunned by that Otis. It's going to be pretty precise on the timing for that Otis to succeed. That is what I'm looking at specifically for the Miko counterplay.
Miko is super hard to defend, as you just mentioned. Kenny, you said before you didn't really see a Miko coming. If I see Bridge Too Far, the 2 brawlers I always think of are Kid, for negative reasons, and then Miko for tactical Lotus, who actually popped off on this map with him. So I like to see this Miko meta coming back again.
Double lane engagement on the right-hand side, so Derp can let loose on the top. On the bottom of your screen, save can be set for Finks. Finks is a really interesting call. This feels like more of a counterplay thing. This feels like a winning your lane kind of brawler, because otherwise it's not traditional for heist.
Loco advances forward, is rewarded with a huge chunk of damage and a mute to the face. That Starfish is going to be enough to send him packing. Wesley, meanwhile, is able to get on top of this safe. Does he have the gadget? Doesn't look like... Oh, never mind. He did TP back. Got an additional 3 shots, and just like that, Bounty Hunters are down to their final little shield. It's going to be unguarded here in the final few seconds. They have just gotten that first shield knocked off of New Heights Gaming. It's looking kind of chalked.
Brosy playing a strong defense against Derp, almost puppy guarding to the sense that just going to follow him no matter what. Winona up the middle of the map now, trying to deal with all the spawners. Eve is somebody that's not necessarily known for high safe damage on this map, but similar to Angelo where you can traverse over water, is really pesky. All of a sudden what is normally a left, middle, right has a brawler that can do all three at once.
Brosy moves in to deal the killing blow alongside Wesley. This one was visible from, I would say, a good 20 seconds ago because it was such a firm advantage. So how do you prevent that going into the next game? How do you prevent yourself from getting diffed so hard on the damage like that? Well, for starters, don't let Finks through on that lane. You can't afford to do it because this is sort of the mix that we were talking about. You have to have brawlers that are able to defend quite well as deal damage to the safe. I think like Loco is totally geared up for that. Derp, not quite. Doritos, I think, you know, there's a good argument to be made, but both Otis and Finks are so good for that. They just crap out damage. That's why they're good at anti-tanks. That's why they're also good at dealing damage to the safe.
Now Winona is going to be playing that flex role really well. A takedown, some extra chip damage in there, and now Perozzi can go at this high save. A few daggers fanning out, gets him that first threshold, and now with it wearing down, he get well closer to 50%. This is an interaction they're definitely going to take all day long. One Miko does not equate to the damage that NHG just profited off of.
It's a victory for Bounty Hunters in their defense of their own safe, only in the regard that they didn't completely get annihilated at their home base. They'll have an opportunity to turn this defense into a push, but it's going to have to be a rotation from 8-bit over towards the right side. Prozzy is creating all sorts of mayhem. You can see how desperate it is with Derp even trying to pitch in on the defense rather than go towards the enemy side. But now he's given a free opportunity by all that damage. He's gotten closer to his super, and he'll land directly on top of this. Should be another shield knocked off of this safe. We would love to jump away now, but still, Otis is right on his tail. Meanwhile, Prozzy is all over the safe.
Perozzi has to pop off too. It's going to be neck and neck, only 4% remaining. A few extra shots from Loco in the long range to secure it. Bounty Hunters slowly work their way up to taking an advantage. It was a great game at number 1 out of the red roster, but this time it's Bounty Hunters doing an excellent job of staying the course, not hitting the panic button. They realigned lanes off the start a little bit too. They were able to get those Miko interactions to be much better for them. I think this is going to be all about navigating for each team a cost effectiveness. If we let Miko go, can we get enough brawlers there to do damage? If not, we need to glue ourselves to him. We need to play defense. So Perozzi here winning his lane early. Wesley not going down. Very important considering Miko's already on the other end.
Folks in the audience, what Kenny's getting at is the essential question of heist. When do we attack? When do we defend, pretty much? It is a delicate balance. It's, I think, one of the reasons that it's one of the less popular modes just because it's so difficult to get a grasp on. So far, it looks like a New Heights Gaming has really hammered that point down, though. They've gotten the second shield knocked off of Bounty Hunters, and Prozzy once more is up in their business. Wesley also contributing some shots, brings us down to just one shield remaining. It's a huge gap ahead for NHG.
Perozzi remained alive for far too long, and it is showing in the scoreboard. Now below that 25% threshold, New Heights Gaming, all they have to do is polish off the safe, and it's a GG. Wesley up the middle of the map, gonna let Derp go. I don't think this is a good sign for the other end. You can't play defense at that point. They were full committed, easy pickings there in game number 3. They just made it look easy.
Made it look easy. Both teams so far, honestly, I don't know if we expected that we were going to be coming up for 2 game 3s in a row, but we did know it was going to be a pretty contested match for 2 sets in, and it feels like we just started 1 set apiece. It's going to take 2 sets for either team to cross the line of victory, and even then, it'll only get us to the semifinals.
Awesome start here. And of course, quarterfinal 4s, naturally, it's typically going to be throughout the year the number 4 seed and the number 5 seed for these regions seeded for our monthly finals. So I think it's a safe bet that a lot of times this is going to be closely contested. But one thing that strikes me about South America in general is last year, it really felt like it was SKC, Loud, everybody else. This year, it feels like, based on at least practices and how things are going, just the vibes when I'm getting through this region, feels a lot tighter. These are 2 of the teams that I think people need to keep their eye out for of can they take that next step. And it makes sense to me why we're at a 1-1 scorecard right now.
Taking a look at the stats also, you see the pretty stalwart defense that we had on the home team. However, it just was not enough. Didn't have the mobility to bring that 8-bit to the other side, and Miko's supposed to be the mobile one, was not enough either to get them the DPS that they needed. Just a lot more tricks up the sleeves.
In the end, Otis worked out really well to defend that Miko 8-bit, a bit too slow to cross the map. And on the other side, we have Kaze just doing so much damage to save. Very well played from New Heights Gaming. 1-1 makes a lot of sense. I agree with Kenny there. We're now heading into Hard Rock Mine. Third map. We're gonna see a fourth one after that, that's for sure. And we already have an Ems, we have a Lily, we have Crow. Many good brawlers on Gem Grab in general, especially that Lily in 2025 already. See, she was one of the most picked brawlers on any Gem Grab map. Why is that, Kenny?
Lily is a big reason that she shows up on this map, and specifically this mode, is the fact that she has access to the Shadow Realm for absolutely free. Every 20 or so seconds, she can just dive deep, escape with gems, or more importantly, go in with a hypercharged super. A lot of times teams are playing around this. They won't necessarily just use a super to use a super. They're going to be saving it so that those final seconds as the clock expires and the red roster is walking away with gems. Now Lily can scoop in and be a hero. They're fully prepared for this, though. They beef up with 8-bit, and now they have an aggro of their own in Shade.
Lily's a huge test of your team comms. Also, find the Lily. Keep the gem carrier away from her. And 8-bit, look, he gets put in the Shadow Realm. He is not going to be able to teleport away. That is a huge consideration. Don't think it's going to be too wonderful for Lily to face this Shade also. Her position in bushes, if she's nearby, is going to be detected by Shade's radius in which he charges super and hypercharge. So another thing to note, Stu will also have an interesting interaction in this Shade matchup wherein he'll be able to break open those walls. Okay, that's the major consideration. I'm looking forward also to the matchup of Stu versus M, since they have pretty much the same range. It's going to be a bit annoying for Stu to face her, I believe.
But you can potentially dash out of Ems' super. So I think Stu is actually a good matchup into both Shade and Ems. I always like to see Stu anyway, so I'm super happy. What I'm looking at is the mid matchup, where I see a slow 8-bit versus a Crow. If he decides to play the slowing Toxin Gadget, that 8-bit is basically not going to move anymore. I feel really bad for him. But yeah, this is going to be your two gem carries. Let's see who grabs more gems.
Movement would certainly be an issue, but even if Crow lands every single one of these shots onto 8-bit, it's not going to get a takedown. I mean, look at this. 3 straight shots landed. He's still well over 8,000 HP. Now Perosi going to be migrating to the middle of the map as Derp. Mass destruction. Left-hand side going to be opening up these walls. Loco, though, going to be terrorizing the top right-hand side. This interaction between who can be better, Lily or Shade, going to be a real interesting to watch this set.
Look at the interaction there, by the way. They knew where the Lily was because he started charging super as soon as he went to that region of the bushes. Really, really well played by NHG. They've eliminated the Lily for now, but she did get some damage in, and she's going to be inching closer to that super. In fact, she's already got the hypercharge, knew that it was going to happen. Now he needs to use a bit of geometry to isolate the gem carrier. You know what? Perosi is fine. That's all right. It at least gets some control for them. Also see Winona burned down. It's another kill for Bounty Hunters, as they have so much control on this point. NHG in this odd position. They have to get 10 gems off of Bounty Hunters, and all they have to do it really is this hypercharged Shade.
BH have not wavered from mid-control, and now finally New Heights Gaming can move forward just a little bit. Dorito's putting himself in a very vulnerable position that feels like a little over-aggression. They dump off all the gems. Instead of a steal, it's a fresh delivery. It's expedited shipping for those gems.
Oh, goodness. One-day delivery. Get me my Prime overnight. 10 seconds to go. And Bounty Hunters have one trick left in their book. Get Doritos a hypercharge and let him jump on top of everybody. But even that is too much to ask. No super as the time expires. New Heights Gaming, stay alive and get the game.
BH definitely let that one go. I mean, I would have to watch back and kind of review why he made that play. There's obviously a reason why he probably did that, but it's very easy in hindsight to say, yeah, it was a mistake. He just dumped off a bunch of gems. Crow's a great brawler, but you have to use the super either in a situations where you know that you are going to win or grab a kill, or more importantly, especially with people like Lily in modes like this, you have to be able to escape with the gems. He is the safety net. He has to be the one that shoulders all those gems and never give them away. It's the only way that Stu and Lily can be as aggressive as they are.
Mid is always such a difficult role to play. We'll see Doritos get caught up high through the wall versus Perosi, who's actually on his last legs, but does not expire quite yet. Still has to stay in this sort of mitigated position. He's completely surrounded by Derp, and Doritos knows that his time has come. Smiles like speed and goes back to the respawn. NHG, they're so spread apart, shattered as a team composition. At least Winona's in a position to get this super. and then pop off with a hypercharge, but still it's going to be a little bit of time before that happens, and he knows he can't aggress Doritos here. It's got to be this brawler that's gone all the way to the enemy side. Derp, he was forced into that position. It might look odd. Why did he keep dashing forward? But he really had no other options.
Yeah, now Winona's just been lurking on this bottom right-hand side. Finally, Derp eradicates the pest that he was. A takedown there on the top left-hand side. As BH look to respond rather quickly. Once again, consistent through 2 games. For the most part, it's been BH occupying the mid. It's really going to take an NHG comeback or some kind of pop-off kill for them to have a chance at this set.
Into the Shadow Realm for Loco, ideally popping out underneath Winona. Going to be rewarded a couple of shots and then a few big ones from Wesley to the face. New Heights Gaming still find themselves behind, not just on tempo, but also on the utility. It's 2 hypercharges, 2 supers ready for BH. They're not going to use it if they don't have to. Derp is going to provide a little bit of position. Hopefully Doritos can get this next gem and get all 10. It's fine. Loco has one. They'll be able to retreat nice and easy. Just a few seconds to go, and this one's in the books. New Heights Gaming will not be able to take this back within the last couple of seconds. The Bounty Hunters find themselves in another Game 3.
Despite a blunder in that opening game, I still feel like Bounty Hunters are playing this set so well to the point that even with that mistake, even with essentially capping themselves a game, they can still take it. They've just consistently not let go of this mid control. It was really interesting in that game too to watch Shade just kind of hunker down on the enemy side, literally wait for them to respawn, and I think there's give and take with that, because if you do that, well, now you put 3 brawlers versus your 2. Wesley's already slow as an 8-bit. He can hardly move up the map. Ims is a fantastic brawler, the best one in the game. Doesn't have the range to contest with something like a Crow. Doritos is just easily able to collect these gems, and now Loco, once again, posturing. That left-hand side's all his.
Yeah, the pressure also just so difficult to deal with. It's a couple of radius brawlers that charge whenever an enemy is within a certain distance of them. Winona predicted a position and goes for Loco, trying to catch up. It actually worked out decently well. Wesley is low on HP, but it's completely fine. But how does this matchup versus Doritos go at range? It's just going to be trading gem for gem on the position. Your gem spawns on your side, my gem spawns on my side. We are even at 4 apiece.
The biggest thing is going to be, can you get the swap? Can you get to the other enemy's territory far enough and expand your domain to grab one? So far, that hasn't happened yet. Doritos grabbing the one that's possessed on their side, while Loco is still lurking. Oh, what a pop-off play. Little double piece, and now BH have complete control of this grass. This is where things get out of hand quickly. They're starting to destroy the turret. Of course, Wesley has one in the back pocket, but if they have all 3 members in the grass hiding, it's going to be difficult for NHG to scout them out.
Bounty Hunters ahead by 3 gems right now. That's really all they need. They can keep trading gem acquisitions and have enough gem lead to run back to their respawn. Only need 1 more. Doritos also has the hypercharge in his back pocket, but they could still totally get crunched in. The Hard Rock Mine spawn trap is a very real thing. You better watch out for it. Loco was predicted. Prosy knew exactly where he was headed. Had that 6th sense to know that he was going over to the bushes. But 1 more gem is all that is needed for Bounty Hunters. They're about to concede this 3 gem lead, though. It's only 2 now, and they're going to have to put a little bit more work in if they want to win.
Doritos has a jump as well. They can get aggressive if they really want to. Instead, though, they're going to let Prosy collect this and back off. Now they have angles. NHG giving themselves life, but finally forced away. Loco there to meet them at their face. Gets a few fists off. And now Doritos will just have to slowly back it away. There's no way to collect enough in the mid. A kill is the only thing that is left, especially with 8 seconds on the clock. Such few amount of time. Doritos know he can just hold on to the super with a few on the clock, wait it out if they really need to. Great job there. I really didn't think they were able to get that respawn in time, but somehow there was a gem hiding.
There was, just off screen where you couldn't see it, and that's the secret information that evidently was not available to Bounty Hunters. They still kept fighting for mid when we got 10 seconds left. New Heights Gaming equalized the gem count. They have this hypercharge as well. If they can bait that super out of Doritos, it would be big. But Winona overcommitted. Hypercharge and super in for what? Well, it did pressure everyone back. It looks like NHG is going to be able to get the tempo lead here. Just need 1 more gem. Long range super there from Loco, but there's no dice. 5 seconds to go. Prosy's nice and safe and sound. Hypercharge and Buffy in hand. It's a set for NHG. Now they have a 1-set advantage.
Bounty Hunters have got to be kicking themselves there. I think that Crow jump in game number 1, I mean, they were in complete control of taking it and just dumped off too many. It's little mistakes like that that really add up. In Gym Grab, you don't have to be the best team for the duration of the game. You just have to close out for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Had a couple on there when you steal the gems, but look at this. Doritos just diving in right into Wesley's hands with 10,000 roughly HP when Nona had a super pop too. I'm not sure what the motivation there was, but now especially looking at it in the review here, definitely catastrophic, definitely a mistake.
It's so good to see players celebrate even every set win. And with every right, Portox and Wesley celebrate here because they've never really made it out of the top 8 before. Despite competing for 6 years, we still call them rookies, underdogs. They never really made it out of that tier 2 place, and now with Prozzy, they're hoping to finally break out of that jail. We're looking at the stats here, very good stats across the board. Everybody did their job, pulled their weight, and then there's Doritos.
Yeah, man, it's crunching him up, isn't he? And spitting him back out, too. With 13 kills, he ate them alive in the backlines. Created so much pressure. Also, into Shade that would ordinarily be applying a lot of pressure just with the threat of charging up that super and the hypercharge in the same breath. No, it was dealt with really, really well by Lily. I loved also, like, the long-range super there at the end. Didn't really save anything. The Hail Mary was impressive, though, because it did land.
It was just clean. And clearly, BH are playing well. It's just these little mistakes that make a big difference. In a monthly finals setting, you just can't afford stuff like that. And now with backs against the wall, 2-1 setting, Pierce giving up on the other side, oftentimes you're going to see teams go for something like a Charlie or a Mina to counter this out. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to see if Bounty Hunters go with those standard responses.
We kept saying how we just vote for the obvious choice and then we win either way. Either the underdogs win and we're super happy about that, or we actually get our predictions right. Both of those teams are in these tier 2 heavens, or are the underdogs. So here I'm actually happy that for once we're ahead in our predictions. Pierce is going to be picked up first on Super Beach. Makes a lot of sense. We talked about it before. You want a solid mid tap those shots and yeah, in the end just make a good form to maybe potentially super shot that goal immediately, which is possible in Super Beach. On the other side, we have Frank and the potentially best counter Otis picked together. Makes a lot of sense. With Otis picked up, though, that leaves open Cordelius and immediately picked up by NHT. They seem to know what they're doing already.
Smart. And we saw Cordelius used a great effect on this map earlier, where you're able to sit behind a wall and get your super for free, take that Pierce mid out of position. This is what we saw in match 1 of the day, of course. But you're able to get the most powerful brawler or most powerful counter on the enemy team out of the mix and then enable your team to wreak havoc. So what are they going to be enabling here? Who is going to be in the winning 2v2? It'll be Mo. Interesting. The idea here is that, well, first of all, you have a couple of supers, so you can super shot from a pretty, withdrawn position. Also, should be good against squishies.
Mo is also going to be a great goal-scoring opportunity with that super, and I just think adding that as a lane has become more popularized. Otis can be flexed as a mid as well. I don't know how it would necessarily fare against something like a Pierce, so maybe they want to play lane, but I think that gives them the flexibility they're looking for.
Still looking for a long-range option on the left-hand side. Never mind, it's going to be Stu, usually played on the lane as well. Otis potentially picking up that mid lane now, but into Pierce, he just doesn't bring the same range into that matchup. So that's going to be a tough one here for Doritos in mid. I do like the Frank and Stu together. They can break open the map, but it's against the Pierce. Do you want to break open the map? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I completely agree.
Solved case, folks. It's a solved case.
I have so much to add to that comment. But no, in all seriousness, I think really the idea into Pierce is to get up in close range, pretty much, where he's not going to have as much value, where he's not able to leverage his high DPS at long range against you. Doritos nearly avoided his demise against one of those piercing shots from Wesley. That's the thing, is you're never truly safe from Pierce. Even when you're behind a wall, there is the killing blow. And NHG continue to get some control on this left side. It's going to be a little bit tough. Wesley wanted to get in close range. He's also lacking on the ammunition. Took so long to reload. One little piercing shot will land on Derp, but still Derp gets the kill.
Ooh, a nice pull. The Shadow Realm going down as well. It bricks off that right-hand side, and somehow Doritos is able to turn his team being on full back heels all the way and surge up for some good offense. That's part of the power of Frank. Nice jump away there. Wasn't baited out by the super, and unfortunately for Loco, now that entire wall side is destroyed.
Winona now equipped with a hypercharge and super ups just for the super right now. Conserve it for the next round because they're steamrolling through. Prozzy with a rocket down mid. and a Doritos that was still in the realm, unable to do anything. It is a wide open map right now. It doesn't seem like it disturbs Cordelius too much. He's still jumping around, but he has used his gadget. Could be an opportunity for Loco to move forward, but he doesn't have any way of destroying this wall on the right side and creating a push.
Pierce is going to thrive in the open space. BH have to hold on to this control. If they can move Loco up to this indestructible or this three-pronged wall on the right-hand side and really force NHG into spawn, I think it's going to be trouble for them. There's just too many health points with Frank, and it'll overwhelm the enemy.
Ball still untouched for the last minute or so, it would seem. Bounty Hunters might be the first ones to pick it up. The position is punished. A super around the left side, and for what? To just get it away from New Heights Gaming? Not the worst idea in the world, really. You see Doritos is seriously spread thin over here. Even a fat splatter over the right side couldn't catch up with that hypercharged Cordelius of Winona, who finds himself retreating now. Had to use that little jump to get away. Look, the utility for both sides, by the way. All that Bounty Hunters have is a single super for Loco. He didn't really hit that gadget either. Meanwhile, Prosy is inching closer to that super that's looking like it could guarantee a goal.
NHG, 1 inch at a time, just trying to climb up this map. War of attrition in the middle as Loco holds on to this hyper super as the clock runs down. They're going to be looking to extinguish all their resources just to build for 1 goal. And now the Shadow Realm has positioned themselves perfectly. This red roster has to grab this ball. They're waiting for the final seconds to let this go down. Mo dying in, can't grab the ball in time. They look for a kill. Wide open net though. NHG on match point.
Mo the striker reigns true once again. It is 1 game away for NHG to go ahead and take this match. Will we see another Game 3 is the biggest question on my mind. We've seen Control go back and forth, but I think the offense from NHG has been the most promising. A lot of times it looks like Loco just doesn't really have any moves. All he can do is stand near Cordelius on the right side, doesn't want to get in close range. He's going to feed a super, doesn't want to stand behind the wall because he's going to feed super. And guess what happened? Got a super, but it wasn't enough, actually. Bounty Hunters were able to toss that one away. A pass up to Derp could get them a goal, but it's actually not an opportunity. It was Cordelius respawning just in time to save that goal.
All the shells on the ground really allowed for Pierce to win that matchup. It was just too many things to try and dance around. Ultimately led to BH not getting a goal, because otherwise it could have been a hairy situation. Loco, though, dangerous intentions. Gets dragged to the Shadow Realm. Just simply remain where he stands. NHG know this, though. They're getting clearly comms around this. Perozy's trying to surround them. They have multiple brawlers. It's going to be a trade, though. Now Derp, wide open space. They need to pass this ball forward. I would have even argued a super pass over, and it might cost them. Doritos has to do it along. No bounce shot on the backhand wall. Can't get the angle. Perfectly done by NHG. BH certainly let a goal go.
Prosy thought about using the super there, decided not to. I feel like a shot in the right side of that goal could have gotten it for them. But man, that was such a tough execution for Doritos, who has so much relying on him right now as the anti-tank for the team, as well as just a draft brawler. Oh my goodness! What a play there from Loco. The gadget on the right side, and yet another perfectly positioned shot towards the middle of the goal.
Nasty super shot. Gives them life. BH have to find a way to win. Already in a match point setting, considering how close this has been, and considering there are probably arguably sets they already should have won here, they should be the ones up in the lead after the gym grab. Instead, they have to do the job the hard way. Now looking up this left-hand side, Derp has a wide open net, buries one, and will extend to yet another Game 3.
Gosh, what were we even expecting, Kenny? Game 3 after Game 3, we knew it was going to be a close match, and it might even get as close as it can. Set 5, could it be waiting in the wings? Because as soon as we saw NHG come out with this fire, it was repelled, and an ultimate response was offered by Bounty Hunters. Each team finding themselves 1 game away from a set victory, only one a single game away from a match win. That's New Heights Gaming. And we'll see them adapting accordingly. Didn't win that last game with their lane loadout. They have Cordelius on the left side now, away from that Frank, interestingly. Prosy is going to get that super for free off of Frank, so that might be the reason for the call. We'll see him inching closer to that ball, but still no opportunities, at least as a defense on the left side. Derp is sent back to the respawn. NHG, however, have not been able to move up as a result.
That swap allows Perozy, though, to charge his super, so now they have an opportunity to march forward. Loco wasn't able to land any connections in the gadget. Still, though, it's BH forcing their way through on the left-hand side. A super pass over. They know that Loco has the health points. They have to rotate in Winona perfectly. Derp, backhand wall, drags one down. Pierce steps up in the nick of time, but can't quite kick it away. BH bury one early.
Honestly, a bit of a messy exchange also at the goal line for Bounty Hunters, but they managed to recover. It looked a little desperate there for New Heights Gaming as well. Here comes the hypercharge in. Prozy's ready for a pass, but where is that ball? He's got it now. Derp in the Shadow Realm. Easy super down mid. One goal to determine whether New Heights Gaming can get the win here and now get a new PB in the monthly finals, or whether Bounty Hunters is going to drag us to a set 5.
Prosy trying to lead these two talented players to depths that they haven't quite seen yet. Loco releasing a super hammer hit on the ground. A nice jump there from Winona. Once again, we've seen it time and time again. Red roster has to play a strong defense. Loco lurking in the corner. Super available for Wesley. It'll force them back. And now a Shadow Realm hypercharge available if they really want it. That seems like a blown coverage there. NHG certainly have an opportunity. Oh! Gets the shot up just off the net. So much wasted utility.
A wasted opportunity entirely. There was no one in front of that goal. Wesley couldn't have even blocked it. What a disappointment for Bounty Hunters, but they have held on to that positioning. Winona is low on HP, but Doritos needs that call out. Where is he? Fat splatter towards the goal line to keep people away, but there was no one there to block. Just pandemonium over here, and seemingly a total loss of team comms. They'll still have this ball pocketed in the back right. It's an easy pass for Loco over to Derp, who can't stay alive with the supers. Wesley, the damage machine, is just one short. Loco gets it, and we're going to the next one.
It was sloppy.
Yes.
But BH found a way, and ultimately that's what separates good from great. Despite all the chaos, despite mistakes, they still found a way. Like I said earlier, almost arguably, they had the leg up in Gym Grab. That could have been them with a 2-1 lead. That could have been the match right there, and now they're going to have to extend all the way to a set 5. There were moments throughout that entire set I didn't know who was going to win. There were nasty goals from both sides. The Mo had nice shots here. You see it right there. The hypercharge allowed him to dive forward, knock a couple down, but Frank just came up as the big man at the end there. Loco had to land that gadget and then perfectly timed. Look at that. Just some beautiful plays out of him.
Wonderful. Something I think we missed also was just like the sheer DPS that Wesley was churning out over there.
Truly a back and forth between those two teams, not only in Brawl Ball, but overall. Never a single set won in a 2-0 fashion. Every single time the other team was able to snake away at least one set. Sturp with a whopping 10 kills, and it did work out in the end. Always love to see a good stew match.
Also, look at the DPS. I want to point your attention over to Winona and Wesley especially. There was a moment where I was just losing my mind because I saw Wesley hit like maybe 7, 8 shots in a row. It was absolutely ridiculous, piercing people through and farming those shots repeatedly. But still, Pierce on Brawl Ball. The weakness is that you don't really have anything to offer in close range unless you run the gadget, and then it's not really that great. Frank, just too much HP. What are you going to do?
Now it really all comes down to mental strength, and with New Heights Gaming even having a match point in this one, Bounty Hunters now definitely in the better position. They prevented the match point from happening and now have the chance in set 5 to get one themselves, Kenny.
I feel like despite this being 2-2, I really feel like for the most part, Bounty Hunters have played better, and that goes against my prediction, that goes against what I said. I feel pretty good about their chances, though. For me, this was a large belief in Prosy and how good of a player he is, because those around him maybe haven't necessarily made it as far, but don't have the exact parameters of appearing in World Finals and things like that. But Prosy, to me, was just a standout at that second split last year, and I think could really bring something to this team. I think looking to prove himself as an individual player as well. This isn't SKC. He's no longer on one of those top 2 kinds of dogs in the region. He has to kind of pave his own way now, and doing this, improving himself here in a set 5 against Bounty Hunters would be an excellent way to start his campaign for being one of the stars of this region.
As the IGL of his team, he's looking into making it out of top 8, something that his 2 teammates didn't really do before. We're now heading into Goldarm Gulch. Very interesting. Once again, we have the Brock first pick here. They want to open up the map. They banned out Dorico, so this time that even makes sense. We talked about it before, how you don't really want to open up the map when you have a Rico on your team. And then on the other side, we see once again the RT. I think he was 2nd and 3rd picked on this map every single time we've actually seen it. Alongside a Squeak, we have not seen this brawler at all today, Reddy.
Not really, and generally the strength of Squeak is you're able to lock down some of those corridors, you're able to force the enemy into an unfavorable position, or just block a choke point so that you're able to move in a position pretty much for free. Here comes Bell. The idea here is to keep them from staying too close together, so makes the fight on the diagonal much more ideal. That's going to sort of dictate how and where Wesley and Prosy can play here on Goldarm Gulch, maybe split between the top and the right side, but of course there's still one more selection. I wonder if they're going to go with a sharpshooter here. They've kind of like doubled down with the sharpshooters, and it looks a little bit risky for me because they are vulnerable in close range.
I think that's one of the risks they would run, not having this 6 pick, because if they do triple down, like you mentioned, then they're kind of leaving themselves in a tough spot. Because somebody like Gus, for example, great brawler, but it only like pigeonholes you so far. I think Spike's a great hybrid in what we saw earlier today of, look, it's quoted as an NPC pick for the folks at home, right? But it's so darn good in the game right now. It does a ton of damage. Its hypercharge is oppressive. I don't really blame them for picking this. I know traditionally it's not a knockout brawler. Picking a thrower into it, though, we saw Grom as that option earlier. This could be the solution.
I was looking out for Tick ever since we've seen this map in a rotation, and he never was picked up, banned out once. Now finally has a showing. I was thinking Tick as well, but then I look to the other side and we see that they can open up a map. So I was thinking they might go with something a little bit safer, maybe a Gauze, something that also does well once the map is broken open. So now, definitely on the left-hand side, Bounty Hunters is looking to open the map as quickly as possible and make sure that this Tick does not have any walls to hide behind.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. It's the battle of the CPUs over here, Spike versus Tick. Not just that, it is a battle for a new PB. 2 teams entered, Bounty Hunters and New Heights Gaming. Only one will advance to the semifinals to get a new best in their runnings of monthly finals here in South America.
BH are very familiar with going just that little bit farther, but have never really been able to take top spots in the region. Not in modern Brawl Stars, not in our current structures with how the regions have gone down. It's going to be Winona on this bottom right-hand side, kind of playing a stereotypical left-to-right affair. That's what we see on this map. It's one of the few that it's east-west, not necessarily your top-down. Now just going to be able to space out. Everybody just being patient, charging supers, not overstepping. Everybody wants to just win the end game.
What about that early game? The part where you start farming up your ability is a little tricky. Geometry used by Derp to force Winona into a sub-prime position. Gets a free shot off of that. Gonna look for 2. Gets it. Gets a super, in fact. But the supers are a given. You're going to be getting the super unless you're in a terrible matchup. It's about that hypercharge. Now as a poison forces everyone into close quarters, it's getting hairy. Doritos is the first to fall. Wesley soon to expire. Tick super down. And we'll see Winona and Prosy persist in HD with round 1.
Another scrappy round that's been consistent throughout this entire series. Everybody not afraid to get their hands dirty. That missed Spike super stood out to me, though. I think Doritos needed to land that just to give them a chance at slowing down an enemy. Then they can direct their focus towards somebody else. Instead, though, it was Doritos essentially running forward, missing a super, and unfortunately going down for his team. It's what really gave NHG the leg up towards that end game.
NHG, they just have the Tick super. That is the main thing. They'll be getting a Tick hypercharge after this round, most likely, because Tick does consistent damage. Tick doesn't get kills. Tick just kind of exists and makes your lane rotations really suck. But hey, where all the lanes go, it looks like they kind of exploded. They vanished for now. This might be a good matchup for BH as a result, but NHG still have yet to see their crucial obstacles exploded. Prosy got slowed down for a moment there. It gives Doritos a bit more time also to get some of those shots, but look, this is why Spike is an NPC pick, because it's easy to play for players who aren't so great, but if you're Prosy, you're able to consistently dodge a curveball. It's a much different story.
Hypercharge super going down, that secures a kill, and now it's going to be Squeak landing shots. Doritos, a great brawler playing that Spike, but not quite enough to overcome 2 on the other end. Beautiful stuff coming out of NHG. I feel like they're doing the right moves on the left-hand side by opening up these walls, but despite that, they've still fed the Tick, and that's something in this game number 2 I would like to see them maneuver around a little bit better. Those mines are pesky. If you open up those walls, it makes it a little bit easier, but in these early games, they need to ensure that they do not feed that super.
In spite of the intolerance for risk at this stage, right, 1 game to prove it all, you have no other choice but to try something that's untested or not really your top option. Plan A has been exhausted. It's time for Plan B. And it looks like for BH, that is rush the point, run them down. And it's worked out really well so far, but still, New Heights find themselves in this defensive position. This is not one they can take for an extended period of time, though. No, that poison's going to spawn and force you out of there through these choke points. Oh, and that's deadly right there. Excellent mark from Derp. This is a perfect position to take a round.
Yeah, now that Tick super is just being used for defense, they know it's not going to make any contact with anybody. They just have to find a way out of this zone. They're packed in their spawn. Now the fog is starting to close in HD low HP, and they know it. They have to rotate out, but it's very awkward. BH have line of sight on every single one of them. What a reversal. BH, just when you count them out, they're stepping right back in.
So another question, does it work twice? Well, NHG are isolating the right side. It is 1v2, and just by sheer numbers, they will maintain the position. But now, here comes the cross-country sprint. Derp now attempts to move in towards the right side, a little geometry. Ooh, just barely nicks Tick. It's enough to keep Winona back. He'll be healing pretty quickly, but Doritos is capitalizing on this. Super in, everyone blocked in the right side. If Loco gets a super, it's curtains.
Loco blows up that wall, and it is opportunity for BH to fire down the barrel. Now Perozzi and Winona have to stay grouped up together, still pinned on this top left-hand side. It's crazy that one small strategical change at the beginning, just running it down, BH getting aggressive. They know they can't win these end games, so they're going to save themselves the numbers early. Doritos adds another frag to his squad. Winona has to back away. This game is hopeless. BH have tied things up, and one game will dictate who makes it to the semifinals.
If nothing else, this match is consistent. It
Yes,
is
it is.
game 3 after game 3 after game 3, and you know what? I'll take it. This one was the one that we knew was going to be the closest. I think a lot of people thought, it's close, but I guess I'll go with the New Heights. And so for the sake of our predictions, do we root for New Heights? No. We're unbiased casters. It's anyone's game. Bounty Hunters or New Heights Gaming. Only one of these teams emerges from this very game into the semifinals. This time it's a different rollout from New Heights Gaming. They've spread themselves out on 3 different lanes, far detached from the typical diagonal matchup that we see on Gold on Gold.
I'm looking out for Perozzi, though. They've isolated him on his right-hand side. Winona can't quite stretch to give him backup. Just gonna have to purely rely on mechanics. Now BH slowly clustered on this right-hand side. Loco even opening up the wall on the enemy spawn side. It's really interesting. Traditionally, teams are going to go to their left-hand side. Instead, we're seeing the exact opposite.
Opposite day over here, but you gotta try something new if the previous attempts did not function. And we'll see also, Bounty Hunters are on the more open side of the map. It's not really where they want to be. Yeah, they have a bit more room to move around, but it's not that uncomfortable position that they'd love to put Tick in. 2-3 shots from Doritos, pops him into the poison. Dead as the poison approaches. What a move from Winona. How often do you see Tick pull that off? And a narrow one at the end gets this first round for New Heights Gaming.
Well executed. Tick being the playmaker there as a thrower. Naturally, a good matchup into somebody like Spike, but when walls are down and Spike's in your face, he should be the one catching a victory there. Instead, it is Winona extending life for his team. Wesley with a super available on that left-hand side, doing his best to try and dodge that curveball. Something so pesky that all of Brawl Nation struggles with. Now will release. Doritos is forced away. Didn't give them a lot of contact, not a lot of damage. Did give them space.
For a set that's only had 2 zeros within the games of Knockout, it's interesting to see this one look more like it's going to go to 3 because we've seen so much terrain explode. And some of these obstacles not exploded entirely this time, just a priority on disrupting as many individual blocks of walls as they can. New Heights Gaming still find themselves retreated on this left side. They have exactly what they need on the Tick. It is the Hypercharge and the Super. If they can bait out the shots from Doritos, Derp, and Loco, they're sitting pretty in a great position to win the late game, but we still have to see the utility for Wesley and Perozzi. Aggressive move from Winona first. Loco attempts to respond with Rocket Rain down. Derp, Doritos exterminate any enemy on the point, and it's come down to one crucial round.
We'll see how they start things off, too. Immediately, the red roster sending 2 on this left-hand side. Bounce shot going down. Derp doesn't quite connect with the wall, though, so it will fade. Loco, right hand in, trying to deal with Perozzi. Oh, and a nice hypercharge connection there. Derp finds enough value in this. Says, we just need to get a marker on this guy. Extinguishes that super, and well worth it if you can pick up a kill later on.
For the first time, we've seen New Heights Gaming coming out of the gate super aggressive. Even Perozzi, who's lacking on the HP, just one little shot onto Loco would do it. Blasts him away. Winona with the gadget. It's looking hopeless right now for BH. They're down a man, and it was already struggling enough to face the 3. Oh my goodness, a nuke onto Doritos. Just 1 remaining. Bounty Hunters down to their final player. Derp knows that his fate is sealed. He's going to give it his best shot anyway, but these final mines coming down, the sticky bloms have sealed their fate. It's New Heights Gaming going to the semifinals.
It's a massive win for them. Bounty Hunters, of course, are players that have been in this region for a long time, but as an org, as just competitors, this is a big deal, I would say, for NHG, trying to look for a new kind of way in this new year, and Perozzi's just a man to watch. in those in-games there, relied on the other teammates though. In this set, it was Winona that stood out to me as sometimes winning matchups that he probably shouldn't have. This Tick didn't have a freebie, really had to find a way to maneuver and dance around all these curveballs, find a way to get kills with the super, still charge it up despite all these walls being destroyed, still a way to get some kills.
This match just baffles me, honestly. It was match 3 or game 3 every single time. Not a single set was won in a 2-0 fashion. And then we look at Golden Gulch, the draft itself. It's such an oddball to see Squeak on any map at the moment, then together with the Tick on a completely open map and they win. I did not see that one coming. But yeah, they definitely cooked with the draft. They knew something I did not. And they played super, super well. We're looking at the stats here. Prozzy with 0 kills, which is actually